Is National Purple Heart Day, a time to honor the men and women who were wounded or killed while serving our country. Now, while the medal recognizes their time in service, the battle that many veterans fight at home goes unnoticed. Joining us now to talk more about life after service and what that really looks like is U.S. Air Force veteran and a VA attorney, Benjamin Krause. Thanks so much for being with us this afternoon, Benjamin, to talk about this because it's something that doesn't get discussed a lot.
Hi, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Now, what do you hope that Americans might understand about the sacrifices that Purple Heart recipients continue to make even after they have long left the battlefield?
Well, the biggest thing to know is that the Purple Heart Medal Award is an opportunity to recognize the sacrifice somebody made where they were wounded in combat. But that doesn't usually tell you the whole story. Oftentimes, these veterans are disabled as a consequence of that injury, and the disabilities last for the duration of their life, impacting their families, impacting their careers, impacting their ability to reintegrate after they get out of the military service.
So let's talk a little bit about that here. A lot of people might assume that the hardest part would be over when a service member comes home. But what are some of the biggest challenges that a wounded veteran faces when they're trying to transition back into civilian life here once again?
The two biggest are definitely reintegration and getting familiar with what it means to not have the uniform on anymore. That's the largest challenge. That's the area that our country has consistently failed its veterans, unfortunately, when it comes to transition assistance and awareness. The other is being able to access the benefits that our country has promised its veterans through lengthy backlogs, bureaucratic red tape, and inaccurate claims processing that results in veterans oftentimes waiting months, years, sometimes decades trying to get access to the benefits that they were promised when they signed the contract to protect and defend our country against enemies, foreign and domestic.
Yeah, you really hate to hear that, especially when you think about the sacrifices that they have made. So you've been working with veterans who've been trying to navigate the VA system. From where you sit anyway, where do you see the biggest gaps being in that system, and what changes could make, I guess, the greatest difference for Purple Heart recipients as well as their families?
So, as a VA accredited attorney, I represent disabled veterans against the Department of Veterans Affairs when they're wrongly denied.
Hmm.
Probably the biggest gap that we see is in knowledge, where veterans and their individuals helping them, whether they're a veteran service officer, whether they're an attorney, we oftentimes lack timely access to internal decisions that the VA makes. They're making strides with electronic claims processing and other systems, but sometimes the information that we need as practitioners helping these disabled veterans are just either incomplete or inaccurate. The other would be that when it comes to being a Purple Heart recipient, I think these individuals in our country really need to recognize that these are going to be individuals that oftentimes need help and they need help now. And in order to basically resolve those gaps, we need more robust benefits to these individuals right away the second that they get out of the military.
Last thing for you here, on this National Day when we pay attention and salute these Purple Heart veterans, for viewers who would just like to honor them in some kind of meaningful way, what would you say that they should be doing to support veterans in their communities?
I think the two biggest things are to find veterans that are around you and express to them that you appreciate the sacrifice that they made. Now, as a disabled veteran myself, I sometimes get embarrassed when people come up to me and thank me for my service. But on the other hand, I think it's an important act from civilians to service members just to thank them now that they're veterans for that sacrifice, and to make sure that when you're interviewing people, if you're a business owner, if you're in a position of authority in some capacity, try to look out for veterans that are in your community to help them along to the next step.
Hmm.
We're frequently caught in bureaucratic red tape. And so whenever you find somebody willing to help you, it's really like God's looking out for you that day. We need help, and we definitely need it from everybody in the community.
Some great thoughts there, and thanks so much for sharing them with us today. Attorney and Air Force veteran Benjamin Krause, thanks for being with us.
Thank you.